live stream, the Thursday Night Hang. It's a Thursday, September 11th. This is episode number 247. What's going on, man? What's going on out there? How are you all doing? Good to see all of you. We are here in, what's going on with this thing? So today I am using the live stream from YouTube. I think we did this last week. And I was testing it out last Friday because whenever like Tony mentioned, like last week or the other week, whenever I use this service and use the regular camera, it's always backwards. Is everything backwards? Everything's backwards. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to turn this around because now I can go this way. And this should give us a better view, right? Yeah, I think that's good. So now it won't be backwards. This should read Paul B normally instead of that way. And on one of my live streams last week, I was playing around with this and I'm using my laptop or a laptop to watch the stream. I'm actually monitoring the stream on the actual, as you guys are in the same amount of time that you are. So, when I start this, I'm like babbling away and I'm looking here and it's all just kind of like the waiting screen. So how's it going? Mumm, good to see you. Andrew, good to see you as well. Tony's here. It's not backwards. It's not backwards? Now it's not backwards. Now it's good. Okay, good. So today I've got a cigar that Mumm gave to me quite a while back. And a while back, Mumm gave me this whole spread of cigars from Privada. I think they're all from Privada, but I've kind of worked my way through them a little bit on the show, and I thought we'd do another one especially after last week's Ula Red from Marvin Chang and Lee Marsh at Stolen Thrones. But I don't know if anything can live up to that because that was truly a great cigar. 90.25 points. Can you believe that? That's just so very crazy. And we're starting a little bit later because I was actually watching YouTube videos and I was like, oh crap, it's 8 o'clock. I gotta go. So hope you guys are doing well. Hope it's been a good week for you. Brian's here, 4 of us over at Buzz. What's going on, guys? How are you all doing? Good to see you. Well, good that you're here. I'm glad you're here. Good to see you. Hope everyone is doing well. Okay, so we've got a cigar. So this cigar is actually from Privada Cigar. It's called their Smokin, and it's kind. When you look, if you saw the thumbnail, you'll see that it's kind of got the Dunkin' Donuts theme. So it's kind of a play on Dunkin' Donuts. And so I went to Dunkin's and got a box that has some donuts, right? Because, it's a good thing. And so now that I think about it, I probably should have had her fill it with 6 donuts, but I only ordered 3. These are 3 of some of my favorite donuts out there. We've got the regular, actually this is not my favorite. This is the regular glazed. This is not my favorite from them. Like this is like, this is the one that, gotta go make the donuts guy was doing. And, it's okay. It's okay. My favorite has always been chocolate covered, but lately I've been in this whole like chocolate glaze kick. But one of my unsung heroes in donuts is the blueberry cake. Blueberry cake. I just love blueberry cake, right? But looking at these, like I was at a different donut shop up in York, PA yesterday. And comparing those donuts to these, or let's say we compare these to the local bakery, Simon's Bakery, not too far away. These don't look that good. They just don't look that good. Andrew says, tune in on the porch with a Don Carlos and Lagavulin. Excellent, excellent. Yes, let me know what you're using. Dr. Sham, man, good to see you. How are you doing? How are you doing? Now, we've got the Smokin here. You can see the resemblance to it. Evidently, this cigar came out like 4 years ago. I found it, as I was trying to read a little bit about this cigar, I found some guy on YouTube that did a review and it said 4 years ago. I was like, 4 years? Man, a long time ago. Craig, so that's what's going on, Craig. How are you? Dunkin' Donuts are tiny and expensive. Yeah, what happened? Like, okay, so these three donuts, and I did get a coffee. I got a coffee from Dunkin' because, might as well have them together. 3 donuts for $4.77. So like $1.50 a piece, I think that is, or a little bit more than that. And then the medium hot original coffee, $2.79. So so that's fairly decent as far as the price of the coffee goes, right? But you know, this is it expensive for donuts? I don't know. I don't honestly. Whenever I get donuts, I never pay attention to the price. I just buy a couple or four and just enjoy them. Enjoy them. So I don't know. I don't know. Although I do remember like maybe like 2 years ago I went to a Dunkin' Donuts one morning and I bought a donut. I forgot what I was doing. I was buying a donut or I was buying coffee, and then I was talking to the girl at the register. She was like, and she told me the price. I was like, I bought one of each, and she was like, and I was like, that is way cheap. It was like $1.50, and I was like, why is it $1.50? I said to her, is this the right price? She's like, oh yeah, when you buy them together, you get a discount. And I was like, what? Crazy, crazy. Rusty says, when the price of flour shot up 300% in the early 2000s, they shrunk their donuts. I remember the Duff when the coffee rolls were giant. I mean, they used when they see. Okay, I was a little bit hesitant to get the Dunkins because I find it difficult to be too enthusiastic about Dunkins because it's not typically been really awesome lately. Like ever since, especially since they moved away from making them in the stores, like the one by Bud's house in Timonium. Like I used to go there when we were in high school, and man, they would have donuts. You were like, yeah, the donuts. Give me the donuts. Give me the donuts and a Coke. When you're like 18, you can do donuts and a Coke and still be all right. But now you can't do that. And they were good. Now, man, I don't know. Like, these are kind of small. George says the Dunkins I went to, a dozen was like $19. Whoa. Okay, that's expensive. That's expensive. So yeah, this is our donuts, and we're gonna. Should we try the donuts first? Did I bring my cup? I didn't bring my cup. I brought my cup. I rinsed it out. I don't know. Oh, there it is. Because even though I went to Dunkin' Donuts, I went to Dunkin' Donuts like an hour ago or so, and I went there and I got this coffee. But if I left it in this cup, it was going to be hot. So I brought my little thermos to keep it hot. But I was thinking if I put it back in this and drink from it, which is cool, right? It's cool. It's cool. It's going to get cold. But if I use this, it won't get so cold. So I guess I could just drink it straight out of this. Okay, that's good. Okay, we'll just do that. We'll do that. So will it be scalding? Because the coffee was kind of hot. It's under pressure. Tony, I almost called you this morning because I was going to ask you, I was going to say, hey man, can you pick up something on the way in to work? And I'll swing by and pick it up from you from like Tractor Supply. But then I called Tractor Supply. I was looking for phosphoric acid in the form of, what is it called? It's called Milkstone Cleaner. And, but they did not have any at the New Freedom store. And I was like, I had the girl check. I was like, it tastes a little bit dirty. Rusty says, when the OG box that held 12 donuts vertical in 4 rows and 3 deep. Oh yeah, those were good. Those were good. Do the Maryland Dunkin' sell sour cream donuts? These are my favorite, very hard. You know what? I don't think so. I don't recall seeing those in a while. Okay, so let's try we're going to try the regular donut. Should I bite it? Or I'm just going to break it just so that I can eat it later, right? So break it there. The crumb looks pretty decent. That looks pretty decent. Not bad. A little bit of lemon. Oh, that wasn't a nice flavor. Okay, it's okay. It's an okay donut. It's not a compelling donut. It's an okay donut. But there is a little bit of a fishy flavor on the finish of my palate. Now, I'm going to put this aside. we will eat the donuts slowly. But I was wondering, I wonder, what I'm wondering is that at the guy, so evidently this is a cigar that has a Connecticut Shade wrapper. So it should be fairly mild in flavor, I'm presuming. And it was, I think, see, there's so little information about the cigar that I was able to find that I have no idea what a lot of it is. I'm just conjuring up. So Privada Cigar Club, maybe Mumm might have more information. But this is, Rusty says, road trip to Curiosity. Let's go, man. My friend's the owner. I was just there a few months ago. And, you know, I've known Alex Talbot for at least a decade now. We've been friends for at least a decade. Oh, longer. For definitely longer. Like 15, 20, 15. Gosh, yeah, 15 years is 2010. So heck yeah. It's like 18 years I've known the guy. Great donuts. But you want to talk about pricey donuts. All right. I brought my cousin and my nephew there and her husband. I was like, oh, how much? And I got a discount. I was like, oh, what? Excuse me. So anyway, but excellent donuts. Definitely worth the trip. Let's go. Let's go Thursday. Oh, you have to work. You have to work. I was thinking, I think I have to go. I think I'll be in Philadelphia on Thursday for an event up in the Huntington Valley. I'm attending. I'm not hosting the event. So this cigar is made by, I think it's made by a group called Geronimo Cigars in Dominican Republic, República Dominicana. And that's all I know. I looked at Geronimo's website, Instagram. There's nothing about this on there. There's very little about this cigar anywhere that I was able to find earlier today. So, yeah, but I wonder, like, was there a forethought with this cigar? Like, if it was me and I was going to use this label, right, and kind of like do a play on the Dunkins, like I would be thinking about how do we make this cigar go with Dunkin's coffee and go with Dunkin' Donuts? Like that's how I would think. Like I'd be like, can we make a cigar that's complementary in flavor, even just to the glaze? Like if you could do that, that would be like, that's thinking. So I don't know if they thought about that. I don't know if that's part of the process. I have no idea. I'm just, kind of styling on my own with this. Rusty says, Tony, I stopped at a Dunkin' in a restaurant area and they had it. They had 14. I bought and turned a dozen into bread pudding. So you bought sour cream donuts and then you made them into bread pudding. Not that I'm judging that. Don't get me wrong. I had bread pudding on this morning's live stream. But could you taste the difference with the bread pudding? Because with all the sweet, all the extra stuff you add to it? That's my curiosity. So today is 9/11, 2025. Have you guys been doing a lot of 9/11 stuff? Because I have not. Now I have these Pico pens, right? And they're really nice. But what I really dislike about them is that when you get to the end of the there's so much space in this mechanism that once you run out of you waste this much. There's this much lead that you're wasting every time, and I'm like, why not just make it? Why not redesign? Like you guys are European. Why don't you make it like? Then I don't know if it's fed another one in there or if I have to feed it. I can never remember. Oh, there is no more in there. I was about to say that I'm heavily invested in Pica, but maybe I'm not that invested because while I might have refills for the other sizes, do I have refills? I do. I need refills. I got refills. I need refills. George is with us. Forgive my late arrival. Oh, man. The shop is crazy with the Washington fans and smoking a classic Fuente and some Blantons. Excellent, excellent. I got to refill my pencil. I'm using Pika's HB lead. And I think I can keep a couple different... I think I can keep multiple... Like they're only that big. They're not terribly huge. But like I said, I do like their product. Will that feed? Oh, it does. Great. So maybe I'll put 2 in there. Then you've got this like eraser that you can adjust, right? Like you can open it up and it gets adjusting, and you can pull out more eraser head as you need it. Okay. Now we gotta get Privada Smokin. Okay, now let us. Oh man, I'm a reader. I'm a glasses for reading, not a glasses for looking. So you know, if you have reading glasses, you're looking here, reading it, and you look out, and then it's like gives you that craziness. Stephen, how are you, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. George is enjoying the My Father Blue with a healthy Parvañejo. Oh, everyone's having lovely drinks tonight. All right, so here is the cigar. Oh, it feels fairly thick. I'm not sure. Maybe this is a Churchill. What do you say this guy's is? Double Corona? Double Gordo Corona? I don't know, man. I don't know. But it looks pretty. It's a very nice... The wrapper is nice feeling and supple and smooth. It's really a nice example of a Connecticut Shade. And it feels nice and well hydrated. It's got that mulchy, spicy, musky kind of aroma. That's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. Nice. Very nice. George says, I made blueberry lemon cream cheese bars for the gang tonight, but right now everyone's grazing on the way. It's still early. It's still early. And how is the Washington team doing? Are they doing well? Oh, I guess it's the first game of the season, right? So who knows how they're doing? Or did they have a game last week? Tony says another Avo Classic covers Volume 4 Toro with Diet Chili. Nice, nice. Now let's going to cut this off here. Oh, that turned out well. Sometimes I surprise myself. That's not bad. Right? Andrew says, great donuts at Donut Run in Tacoma Park. Apple fritter to die for, even vegan donuts. But do they have sour cream donuts? That's what we need to know. So George says, but the Connecticut is from Ecuador. Ah, okay. I don't really know anything about this cigar, except that it's a Connecticut Shade. That's it. That's it. And maybe made in Dominican. Against Green Boy at tonight. The win tonight is a tall order. Oh, well, I hope it happens. Now, this is a very light wrapper, so we'll put that in light wrapper. You've got a nice fragrance. I'd say really nice, strong, cold draw. Cold draw is nice. There's like a caramelly... It's a caramel kind of character to the cold draw. Okay. Interesting. Over here we're Ravens fans, and while I didn't watch the game, I'm glad I didn't, because man, I heard it was a terrible letdown. 20 points ahead and then 1 point loss. Ooh. Now we're lighting, as you can see that. I don't know why I'm saying that. Guess I don't need to narrate. Sometimes I have a hard time getting it lit evenly. A little bit of ashiness. I'm getting a little bit of ashiness on the palate in these initial lighting puffs. But now, look at the cherry. The cherry is red on the lower, but kind of dark on the top. Yeah, I can see that in the replay, or actually in your feed. So starting off, it's all right. Decent body and smooth. Not terribly forward, just kind of like a nice, mellow, smooth kind of cigar right now. George says, the Ravens lost to perhaps the most dangerous team in the NFL, so it's not time to worry. Oh, okay, okay. I mean, they are like, what, the world champions, right? The Buffalo Bills. I remember back in the day, one of my staff members, was from Buffalo, and I was always like, oh man, I'm so sorry, dude. He was a big Bills fan, but he was always like, arr, arr, arr. And that was the thing, I remember there was a time like back in those days, I really feel that our rivalry with the Pittsburgh Steelers was kind of at its zenith. Like, this is like through the 2000s and into the early 2010s, mid 2010, late 2010s even. Like the hatred for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Pittsburgh in general, very guttural, very guttural. Right? We could lose the Super Bowl as long as we beat the Steelers both times that year, no problem. Right? That's how bitter it was. But as the Pittsburgh Steelers started losing their moxie, the wins against them were not so delicious. They were not so savory. They were just kind of like, eh. And the reason that it was so important to beat the Steelers was not just because we hated Pittsburgh, rightly so, but because they were so good. Like, I remember one time, one of my friends, we were watching a game somewhere, and it was like maybe 2 minutes into past the 2-minute warning, and we were ahead. And my friend was like, we're going to win. I said, you shut your mouth, man. You shut your mouth. If there is one team in the NFL that could come back, we could be up by 60 points if they're going to, and in 2 minutes, these guys could come back and kill us. Because there was nothing like, remember that time when we were at the Hookah Lounge many, many years ago? Was it 2010? And we're like doing well, like we're playing the Steelers, and then they send that field goal that just crushed the end of our season. And I was like, oh, it was crushing. It was crushing. Crushing. Anyway, but the point is that back then, in that era, I remember I would make the joke that, when make somebody the Buffalo Bills, nobody gets mad at the Buffalo. Nobody hates the Buffalo Bills because nobody hated them back then. Because, they didn't do anything. So I was like, Buffalo Bills. Now, though, you got to watch out. Those Buffalo people, they spent all that time in the cold, and now they're pissed off. George wants to know, how many cigars have you had since you escaped the hospital? Oh, I've had maybe 10. 3 now on this show, and maybe more than that. I would tell you, but it's on my phone, and I'm using the phone to stream, so I can't look at it. George Juan says, Ravens squandered big leads religiously. It does happen, man. It does happen. George says, Bengals replace the Steelers, our most hated division. You mean for Washington or for Ravens? Is that true? Because, I'll be honest, I haven't been as involved as a Ravens fan for the last 5 years as I used to be in the old days. So, and the Bengals, I remember years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I was talking to the Cincinnati Bengals office about maybe getting some of their season tickets, because I was thinking, these guys are going to do well in a few years. And then maybe the PSLs there, they don't do PSLs, but maybe the PSLs will be worth something, and then I can sell it. But that took like 15 years. So but is it really hated? Like with the Cincinnati, like I don't know, Cincinnati? Do we really look at Cincinnati and think, we want to crush Cincinnati? Crush Cincinnati! Stupid cinnamon hot dogs. Yeah, I don't know. But Pittsburgh, yeah, gosh. I could, stupid Clementi Brothers sandwich with the French fries in the middle. Speaking of which, if you watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds, those guys are like, just like having a good time, because they had an episode 2 episodes ago where they're going to a planet. They're supposed to go to this planet to do a recreation, R&R time for the crew, and blah, 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 blah. Well, something's happened. Nobody goes off the ship because there's now a crisis. But if you watch the beginning of the episode, this is like episode 7. They're talking about Una Chin Riley, the first officer, is doing the log, and she's like, we're arriving at Primanti 3. And I was like, Primanti 3? What? There are 3 Primanti brothers. And then later in the episode, they talk about what's famous on this planet is a sandwich with French fries. I was like, come on, man, that's just ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. Stupid Strange New Worlds. But I did enjoy it. I really have been enjoying Strange New Worlds. Tonight is the last episode of the season, 10th episode. Very sad. But, and speaking of being in the hospital, one of the things that I was watching, the time that we had our hiatus, Thursday night is there's this live stream that happens at 8 p.m. Thursdays called the Epic Woodworking Live Stream. This guy, I met him up in Connecticut when I was there in April. I forgot his name now, darn it. But he does a live stream every Thursday night. And I've been watching that, and I saw the notice as I was earlier today, and I was like, oh, man, I can't watch that. I got to do a different live stream. George says, in the Big Ben era, they could snatch a win from us. Oh, yeah, man. Anytime. Gosh, it was terrible. It was terrible. A very bitter rivalry. I like SNW, Strange New Worlds, but recent eps have been, really? You think? I really enjoyed it. For me, though, any of those is, whatever they put, I'm kind of happy to watch. Even the ridiculous one where they became Vulcans, and I was like, well, kind of funny, but whatever. I would prefer 23 episodes than 10, and I don't care. 5 of them may be terrible episodes. Just give me the 23. I'll be very happy with that. Season finale. Did you watch it already? How did you watch it? I thought it comes out tonight. Oh, the Beastie Boys. Yeah, that's right. To be honest with you, I'm not a big Beastie Boys fan as a lot of people, so it's kind of like cool. So not to yuck on your yum, but I just never was a big Beastie Boys fan. Even in the 80s, I was like, yeah, cool. George says, too much plot, none of character development. Oh, I hear you. I guess, I wonder, maybe they don't want to do too much development of character because, they already, maybe Strange New Worlds writers or whoever's running the showrunners feel that they have a destination, right? They have to deliver to Kirk at the end of this series. Somehow they have to deliver everybody that's going to be in TOS. They have to deliver. I'm curious to see how it's going to happen. I was just messaging with Rung Fu the other day. She plays Jenna Mitchell on the show. And she's the Asian girl that sits next to I can't remember. To the pilot. And she's not in all the episodes. She's like maybe in like 7 of the 10 episodes. But like, I just messaged her. I was messing with her yesterday or the day before. And I was like, man, it's good to see that you're back. Like, I was wondering what happened to you. I was hoping you'd be. I told her, I'm glad this. Every time that I see you in the chair, I'm always very happy. I'm always like, right on. Mitchell's back. Good. Because you see these other clowns, like some dude. You're like, who's this clown in that chair? Get out of that chair. Stupid tactical clown. George says, I need to give it. What are you talking about, man? Oh, Tegas, thank you. You don't like Nurse Chapel? I think Jess Bush is kind of beautiful. I'm just kind of like, whoa. But then I was watching a YouTube video, like a YouTube interview with her where, like, you know, she was like in brown hair, no more blonde, and with her Australian accent, it was kind of like, I was like, oh, I think you're pretty hot. Oh, man. So the cigar is doing nice, smooth, relatively calm and benign. Maybe benign would be too much. I don't know if it's too harsh a word, but it's nice, it's pleasant, it's smooth, it's got good body, good smoke production, good flavor, like not distinct, awesome, like, oh, I'm like crazy for this flavor, but just nice. Like if you bought this cigar, like if we were all together hanging out and we were all like sitting down, talking, having a good time, just spending time together, like this would be fine. This would be a fine cigar to pass the time. Now, that's how it is at the moment. 2 hours from now, who knows? Maybe it's gonna be boring. Who knows? We're gonna find out. George says benign is the yeah, that's what that would be my concern, is that this cigar, nice at the outset, nice now. Will it still hold the attention after 30 minutes? And George says he hit it boring. I'm looking forward to some of those cigars in 2 weeks there, George. To see what you have in store for that day. Exciting, exciting. But it's also going to be a game day, right? So it's going to be fairly busy in the shop. I don't know if we'll be able to do a live stream. Maybe if we can do anything, we might just turn the camera on and let it run. So those of you who may not be able to join us can at least kind of hang out as well. Because I imagine it's going to be kind of crazy, kind of loud. So how's your cigars doing out there? Anything good? Anything interesting? All right, so the next cigar, the next is going to be this. We're going to try this glazed chocolate with sprinkles. Sprinkles are fun, right? They're fun looking. The problem is when you hold it, it's kind of like too hard, too firm. Like if you get a nice donut from like these bakeries, it's all kind of softy and squishy. But right now there's a lot of resistance. Like it's almost like a heavily baked pâté choux. You're just like, why? Why is that like that? I'm hoping the crumb will be better. But let's try. We're gonna take a break. You have lots to look forward on the. I'm looking forward to the 25th. Okay, there's our crumb. Looking a bit tight. Looking kind of a bit like Entenmann's. That's not necessarily a compliment. Much more resistance than Entenmann's. Or Tasty Cake. Actually, Tasty Cake is better. You know what one of my secret desires, my private desires, indulgences more. The Tasty Cake, the Entenmann's, those things. You know how they put the small donuts in a bag, right? Especially the powdered donuts. I will house those donuts, man. Like I will just tear into that bag and just house that bag down. I don't know if I can do it now, but in the day. That, and for me, it's always Coke. I didn't drink coffee. Like, I would drink coffee now with it, but like back then, it was always Coke. It's like powdered sugar donuts and Coke, and I would just, my cousin and I would sit there, we'd pound this bag, just pound the bag. It's like, because you know, it's commercial, but it's got the softness to it, right? And then sometimes you want to see, how many can I fit in my mouth? I also do that at the movie theater. You know, I get the you know, if you go to the, you know, I go to Cinemark where you pay like $50 to go see a movie, but they give you free popcorn, right? And you sit down and they give you this popcorn, and I'll get Diet Coke. And even to this day, I will sometimes sit there like, how much popcorn can I, how much popcorn can I put in my, that's how I spend my time watching the Avengers. George says, I'm sorry I had to bail for a few. The game is heating up. Nice, nice. Andrew says, I only like chocolate on the Boston cream pie donut. Oh, the Boston cream pie donut is good. Well, in theory. Will it be good from Dunkin's? I don't know. I mean, these are not the Dunkin' of our youth. This is the Dunkin' of something else. It's not very, you know, that is not very good. Like, if that was my daily commute to work, like if I had to commute to work in a certain schedule every morning, and that was what I would do, I'd go by Dunkin' Donuts, get me a chocolate donut and a coffee, and I would drive to work. God, that would be misery. Like, that would just compound the misery of having to go to work. Like, it's just like, oh man, my life sucks. I got to do the same job over and over again, and I got to eat this donut again. It's all right. It's all right. I'm going to tell myself that. For the last couple of weeks, I've been driving to Pennsylvania on Wednesdays. In some cases, to go do some trainings with a new cafe that opened. I helped train the staff for a place called Chevere Cafe in Lancaster. I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but we were doing that like 2 weeks ago, and they opened, and I went down to see them last week, and they were doing really well. Then I was actually in the Lancaster area yesterday. I had to go pick up something at a place called Fredericksburg, which is kind of northeast of Harrisburg. So I drove out there, stopped by the Paul B hardware store to pick up some supplies. Really, I went to go pick up more of the pretzels. There's a pretzel. Tony, we mentioned this last week, Tony. I gave some to my sister-in-law, and I was like, I'm running low. Since I got to go up to Harrisburg, I'm going to go buy Paul B. Oh, I was making this past week I was making some tools for myself. I've been thinking about mallets, right? Mallets for chiseling or whatever. So I made this mallet, just from pieces of wood that I had lying around. Like, this is from a Japanese, this is from a piece of white oak that I have from the neighborhood. I had a piece of the remnant slab left, and I was like, I've never been able to use it. Then I was like, that would be perfect. And the reason I thought about this type of mallet was because I watched this guy on YouTube. It's called The Carpentry Life, and it's this guy in Japan, Japanese American guy. I mean, he's half Japanese, half American, and he does like timber frame construction for like buildings. Like his channel's pretty cool, but he goes to different he goes to different tool stores every once in a while and does tours, and it shows you around, shows you what kind of tools there are. And you know, there's all these mallets out there in the world for like woodworking and stuff. And he briefly showed a mallet that looked like this, very thin and very rectangular. And I'd never seen a mallet like that. And I was like, that looks cool. I'm like pausing and trying to zoom in to the screen to see it. And I was like, and I started looking online. Couldn't find anything online. Even did a search in Japanese on Google Japan, still nothing. And I was like, damn. So I figured I'm just gonna go and make it. So I got this white oak, and this is a piece of cut off walnut, black walnut that came from, so this came from about a mile away that way. This came from about a mile and a half that way. So very local. But I cut the mortise by hand. So that was kind of a nice thing. But yeah, that was one. So I did two. I was kind of on a roll. And the other one, I'll show you the other one. The other one, this one I got the idea from another YouTuber. As I was searching for mallets, I found this other Japanese guy that was making these mallets, and I was like, well, what's up with that, right? And oh, Andrew says, unless a handle is extremely dense wood, it looks fragile. Oh, I just dented my workshop. It's pretty good. Walnut's pretty hard. Probably should have done that. So much for having a flat wood surface now. So this guy on the Japanese channel was making a mallet, and he was using a piece of wood, like a branch. Actually, he was using a bigger chunk of log from the firewood pile. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? And he uses a chainsaw to cut a line around the center or wherever he wants to finish the handle. And then he shaves it, and I was like, what is this guy crazy, right? So I was like, I'm gonna do that. And so read this. From a piece of black locust that fell in my yard back in May. And basically I used the bandsaw and I scored it here. And then I just kind of started. And then later, so I kind of made a mistake, right? So this is not like this one is all sanded, smooth, and finished. I put a finish on it, I made it look nice, elegant even. This one's all like rustic and just like clubby, ready to club you to death, right? It's got a little bit of, character here. I had to cut there was a little branch coming off, so I shaved that off. But there's a point where I was, so I would slice down this way, right? And then if I hadn't scored enough, I would go in like this to cut it off. Well, one time I made a mistake, and it was kind of like maybe too high, and so the blade caught it, rotated it, and jammed it down, and kinked the blade. And I was like, oh man! So brand new blade. So now you hear it. Now if I turn the bandsaw on, you hear the. It's like, I've been talking to some friends about that. I was like, so what can I do? It's like, you could try to hammer it out, or you just have to buy a new blade. It's like, oh man. Yeah, this one. Yeah. So that's that. And you just kind of make it so you shape the. It's not even nicely finished. Look, it's still rough sawn. I just kept cutting it till it felt comfortable in the hand. That's all. So if you have a firewood pile, you can do that and make your own mallet. Actually, what I said, I had this first, and I used this as the mallet to chisel out the mortise on the other one. Uh-huh. I had this tool base, it comes apart, and it's kind of rusty. So I was like, man, I need to clean that up. So I took it apart, got the angle grinder out, sanding, sanding the sanding pad. It's like grinding out of it and trying to paint it with like this Rust-Oleum product, this rust. What's it called? Rust. Where'd it go? Rust something. Rust. You don't remove the rust completely from the metal. You leave it kind of, you just clean it up, and then you spray it on. It's kind of like Pour 15, so it just kind of like bonds to the rust and kind of like stops it, neutralizes it. That guy on YouTube, Project Farm, he did a review video on these, and he was one of the better products. The Rust-Oleum was one of the better ones, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do that. So I did a couple pieces earlier, and then I cleaned up the rest. And now tomorrow I'll spray the rest. Tony says rust inhibitor. Yes, rust inhibitor. It's called Rust Renovator, Rust something like that. Like $10, $10, $11 at like Home Depot for a can. But I should also note, when back to Andrew's comment about the handle being like, and I am kind of now obsessing about that I put a little dent in my workbench. The thing about that, the other one is that it's meant for chiseling, so you don't necessarily have to, you won't be necessarily wailing on it like I was here. Like that was a bit ridiculous. That was just to prove a point, Something catchy like rust up. Yeah, exactly. Rust, restore, rust. I don't know. Rustamania, probably. All right, so yeah, I mean we're kind of like through the first third, and I think we're just at. It's good. I'm gonna say good plus 7.5. The body is kind of on the lighter medium. I'm gonna say 7.5. Good plus as well. So. Steven says rust encapsulator is what Eastwood sells for resting. Speaking of Eastwood, I've heard about them. I've never used their product. I'm curious about their product. At one time I was looking at Eastwood's stuff for something. Oh, for rust also. When I was fixing my other bandsaw, I was like, ooh, they had this rust remover kind of thing. So I was looking up on Eastwood's website. I was like, where can I get your product? And they're like, yeah, we have a location in Baltimore, but it's all the way like in Anne Arundel County, like down in Glen Burnie. And I was like, man, which for me is like a 45-minute ride. I'm like, man, do I want to drive that far? I'm just gonna go buy. I just ended up buying what's it called? The other Evapo Rust. I bought Evapo Rust and I used that. That worked well. Enough. I thought about using it for these, but these are panels, so they're kind of big, and it's like it becomes difficult to create a bath for them. So I'm just gonna grind it, spray it with this Pour 15 kind of stuff, and then. I mean, it's the base is gonna live here in the garage, so it's not gonna be outside exposed to the elements. And I was watching Project Farm, and he's like, if you hit it with a spray gun, like a pressure washer, these are the ones that withstand it. And if you shoot a ball at it he shot like little big like steel balls at them at like 200 miles an hour. I was like, well, that's not gonna happen here, so I'm not gonna worry about that. But I mean, it's okay. It's good. It's good. It's good. So what's been going on in your guys' world? Anything interesting? I'm trying to think what I've been doing this lately. So I watched Strange New Worlds, and then I've been watching the Alien Earth, the Alien movie. or Alien TV show, and it's been pretty good. Although this last week's episode, they went back to the ship before it crashed on the planet, which was kind of interesting to see. But like after all these episodes that we've been on the planet, like you didn't show anything on. You barely showed them in the first episode, so it's kind of like, do we really need to go back and see these guys? Do we really care? I mean, they already. I mean, they kind of explained why they did it and who did it, who sabotaged the boat. But I think that's worth watching. Then I was starting to watch. I was starting to watch the first episode of season 4 of Resident Alien, the one with Alan Tudyk. And as I started watching the episode, they show like all the recap from the previous season. And I was like, I don't remember half of the things that they're showing. And I was thinking to myself, I don't remember. Maybe I didn't finish watching season 3, so I'm gonna have to wait and watch the rest of season 3 before I go back and watch season 4. So that's kind of stuff. Oh, I did finish the series of Obi-Wan, which even though he's meeting Darth Vader and they have this big duel, but it's like, okay, we already know they're gonna have this big duel, right? We already know that years from now, he's going to be living as a hermit in the deserts, in the Dune Sea, on Tatooine, and Darth Vader is going to be, doing what he does. So it was like, spoiler alert. Steven says, I love Project Farm. A while back, he did drill bits. The torture test, it was cool. Oh, nice. I mean, I do like his stuff, man. And he's got all kinds of stuff to it. Like if there's any kind of product that I'm kind of interested in, he does a video about it. I always want to watch, but I don't necessarily watch all of it because it's, I just jump kind of to the end to see, okay, which are you recommending? Which do I need to go buy? I'm going to go buy that one. Or I'm going to buy one of those right at the very top. And for some reason, I also watch this guy. He's based in Montana. His channel is called Den of Tools, and he's always talking about Harbor Freight. And I'm just like, why am I watching this? But I'm kind of like interested. Like he does videos like, these are the super coupons, and this is the super coupon I think is worth buying, and this is not worth buying, and blah blah blah. I'm like, super coupons, 15% off. Okay, awesome. Tony says the Project Farm guy is awesome. He just needs to lessen his crack use when he makes. I think that's part of his. He's like, and then he does that whole that timbre, and in this video we're going to do this, and then go with this, and then we test this one, and then we're going to have this here, and you're like, right on, dude. Like I saw this one where he was reviewing tarps, and I'm like, God love this guy. He actually has a farm, so he did this tarp test with all these tarps, Vivor, 2 different types of Harbor Freight tarps, all these tarps. I don't even know what the tarps. And I was like, I wonder how he's going to do this test. And he's like, I got these bales of hay. And I was like, bales of hay? Like he had these huge I don't know, they have to be more than 2, maybe 6,000-7,000 pound bales of hay, rolls of hay, right? The hay rolls. And he's like, I set these up and I've covered them. And I was like, oh. 2 months later, this one's kind of failing. And I was like, what? And I think that one, the Harbor Freight one, did really, really well. Like I was like, oh. Oh yeah, Craig liked the tarp one too. Okay, it was good. I was like, and that's some dedication because that's like a year in the making. Like you're like, wow, man, that's pretty awesome. Who else do I like out there? That's fun to watch. I also like that with that timbre, kind of like that up and down sing-song kind of like voice. There's a guy called Chef John on foodwishes.com. I like his videos. He's always got he's got good videos about how to cook, and they're fairly easy to follow. And I was like, it's pretty good. I'm gonna try that. But I guess the question is I know a lot of us watch YouTube and different things to learn different things, to find, be curiosity about different things. How many of you actually do what they're teaching? I'm trying to think, like, how many, like, if I watch Chef John, how many times I've actually made his recipes, right? I have tried making the scone recipe from, I can't remember his name, but there's this British chef that lives now in Dallas that used to cook for the Queen and I think used to also cook for Princess Diana. And I don't know if he was banished from the UK or whatever. Maybe he met a woman and moved to the United States. You know, that's typically why people move, or guys move. But he, he's got a little stuffed corgi that he always has in the kitchen with him. And he's in a commercial kitchen, like he does catering. And I was like, I like what he does there. But I've only made his biscuit, his scone, because I was kind of like, I wonder if his scones are good. He's a British guy. I should try it. Andrew says, I really like Ewan McGregor's motorcycle shows. Long way round, long way down, long way up, and long way home. Oh, that one is, that's not a YouTube show, is it? That's a real TV show, right? On a network. I have not seen that. That sounds interesting, though. Craig says, I'll specifically search for air fryer, sous vide, Ninja Creamy recipe, Ninja Creamy. I don't know if you saw recently here, but at least how it's there. But here recently, I saw Ninja Creamy, I think at Lowe's, maybe like 5 months ago. And it was super cheap. I think it was like almost like $125. And I was like, wow, Ninja Creamy is affordable now. How do you like that Ninja Creamy? I like it. I have the Pocket Jet, but I kind of, after 15 years of using it, man, I finally mucked it up. I finally jammed it, and I was like, damn it. So I called my friend, who's a chef, Chris Harvey. And I was like, Chris, how do I unjam this? You just got to unwind it. It's the worst thing ever. And I knew that. I already knew that. I just had to hear it again. I was like, I can't. George Vaughn's asking, has anybody seen the old guy in Louisiana with a big long beard cooking in what seems to be a log cabin? I have not seen that. I wonder if he's a singer. I saw one guy that was in Louisiana that was doing like a crawfish boil. I was like, oh, crawfish boil. He's putting all the vegetables and everything in, andouille and all that. And I was like, whoa, man. But I don't recall who it was, the name of the channel. I was like, oh. Speaking about jamming, what's the deal with your ode? So the ode is just in the background tonight because we used it earlier. And I don't know if you saw this morning's live stream yet, but this morning's live stream, I brought it on because I've been having this issue where it chirps, like, and it kind of gets tight. Do you get this on yours? So like, and I kind of isolated it in this live stream that if we go to coarse, grind, clear it out, it's super tight to return. And if you turn the machine on, it makes these, it sounds like the burrs are rubbing. And one of the guys on the morning show, Anton, he's like, well, that's just the natural retention. There's always like 0.1 gram left in there. And I'm like, yeah, but it's zero retention. It should, and plus it's a vertical burr. It should fall all the way out. Like I don't see what's causing the tightness in the rotor, in the switch. And I'm like, what is going on? So I don't know. So I haven't done it yet, but I was gonna message fellow customer service and say, hey, this is my question, and this is my issue. Like, it's making these crazy noises, and it makes me think that it's, even everybody that watches was like, oh, maybe you're getting metal shavings in your coffee. And I was like, well, maybe I am. And yeah, so I'm going to message them and see what they think. George says it's cooking with Cajun. Ah, cooking with Cajun. Nice. Speaking of Cajun, have you ever had what's their sausage with the rice and the pork? Gosh, now I can't remember what it is. My cousin was down in Louisiana one day, and I said, hey man, you're going to be in the Bayou country, like the low country. Can you go get me some of these? Like, he brought me like 4 packs of like, what are they called? Craig says coffee beans bits get stuck in the auger. Is that what it is? and it makes that kind of noise, that's super annoying. As long as it's not destroying the grinder. But I mean, it lasts a long time, so it's like it must be wedged in there and not able to spin out. George wants says jambalaya, not jambalaya. I mean, jambalaya is the dish, but like this is just the sausage by itself. And the name is just escaping me, and I can't believe that I can't remember the name of this sausage because it's hella good. And so I got it, and one of my buddies is a guy from the Low Country, Louisiana. Like I'm trying to think of like what would be a good correlator. Like here in Maryland, we have crabs, and if you're uninitiated to crabs, how do you eat it? Right? You just tear it open. But I guess maybe that's more complicated. But basically, I was kind of like, well, how am I supposed to best eat the sausage? And I was like, man, I have no idea. So I called up my friend down in Louisiana. I was like, hey, man, how am I supposed to eat these sausage? He was like, with saltines. I was like, son of a gun, what are you talking about, man? Saltines. And I said, how am I supposed to cook it? You can cook it in a pan, or you can cook it in the microwave. Whatever you want, man, just heat it up. It's already cooked. And I was like, just saltines. And actually, with saltines and Coca-Cola, it's excellent. I like it. But now I can't remember. It's the sausage that's stuffed with rice and ground pork. It's going to come to me at some point. Craig says, I have to hear the grinder. I missed the stream. Watch the stream. Go to towards almost to the very end. And that's where we're really like just mucking around with it. And Anton's getting mad. He's like, I've been telling you how to fix it. I've been telling you what it is. He's even like, you just gotta read. I was like, all right, take it easy, man. Take it easy. It's a $600 grinder. It shouldn't do this kind of thing. Or maybe the idea is that, if you're not paying $3,000 for a Zerno Z2, then, $600 is cheap, so it'd stop complaining. So, a little bit of combustion issue right there at that moment. Yeah, when you get a chance, Craig, have a look at that stream. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you have that issue, like, well, and you'll see in the video, if you watch the whole thing, like, I take it apart. Like, I take the whole thing out and even, like, I guess zero it out. So I'm using the inner selector that has the greater range. And I go all the way to the point you can really hear the burrs touching, right? And back it off, set it up so that the actual dial is all the way fine at that point. And then we'll screw back together, crank it all the way over to get the coarse grind. Then you come back and it's all like, I mean, in my mind, theoretically, that shouldn't be happening, especially with zero attention grinders, and you're weighing, and in a lot of the cases on the other streams, where what's happening also is that we would weigh out the coffee before using it, grind it, and then weigh the coffee again. So the coffee is the same weight, even down to the 10th of a gram. So it's like, I don't know, man. I don't have that issue, but I have different burrs. Oh, well, it's because you're fancy, man. You're fancy. That's what they were saying last week or the other day. They're like, if you take it apart, you should get new burrs. Like, new burrs? These are brand new. They probably haven't had enough time. They probably have not had enough coffee through them to break them in. A little bit combustion issue there. Like, it feels like I'm gonna give it some power. George 1 says, I understand your grinder issues. My issue this week is 1,100 middle school students attempting to open lockers. Wow, it's explaining. So they're like, that sucks. My nephew's in middle school. I totally get it, man. Totally get it. I can imagine 1,100 of him. Huh. Would be crazy. Craig says coffee does build up on those wires that do the static reduction. That's on the inside of the spout, right, where it's coming through. We already had that issue where it totally jammed and totally clogged, and then I had to tear it apart, which probably led to this problem, right? Because I don't think we had this issue until I had to take it apart that time. And I didn't really think about doing the zeroing it out. So I don't know if that was a contributing factor. There's just too much to think about with this grinder. It's like, that's like 3 issues in a year. And I'm like, man, this is just... And I was telling you, my Brazza Virtuoso, I bought it used in 2007, and in 18 years it hasn't done this many issues. And I'm like, man. This cigar right now has been good. Just good. Good. It's something to smoke while you're hanging out, passing the time. Like I wish they, like I said at the beginning of the stream early on, is that if I had been the one designing this cigar, and I was going to use this smoking, this play on Dunkin' Donuts, I would have wanted to blend this cigar, design this cigar so that it would match with Dunkin' Donuts. So you'd be like, you need to go get Dunkin' Donuts. You need to eat donuts with it. But right now, it's just kind of like, it could be, you could eat with donuts. It's not challenging it. It's not complimentary. It's not challenging. It's not clashing with it. So it's just kind of like, I'm here. I'm smoking. Craig wants to know if anyone's getting the new Apple stuff. I saw that they had this event on the 9th, but I didn't watch the stream, and I haven't seen any news. What did they release this time around? Was there a new laptop, or? Oh, I guess there's going to be a new phone, right? We should be at 17 now, is that right? So what's cool? Let me know what's cool. I'm interested to know. I was thinking about replacing this laptop at some point because I've got this Apple Mac, Mac Mini, MacBook Air. It says it right on the front. I don't know why I can't read it. But I bought this MacBook Air in 2013. So this computer is 12 years old. And I'm like, and it's, for what I use it for like surfing the web, watching YouTube videos, watching porn, works great. Works perfectly fantastic. If I go on Facebook, it says your browser is no longer supported. I'll get that once in a while. But it's like, and then like if you stay on Facebook too long, it says it's taking up too much memory. Yeah, you're right. Let's just close that. So, but for the most part, it works. This 2013 MacBook Air still does most of what I needed to do. Like I'm not doing any editing on it or anything like that. I'm not doing anything on it at all. And I don't know, maybe that's, I want to think that maybe that's, just my lifestyle. I don't need it. I use a desktop for those things. But maybe I use the desktop for those things because this one will no longer work with the latest editing software. So, I don't know. Craig says, new AirPods Pro, new watches, and new iPhones. Oh, nice. It's the watches that I'm kind of like, I have questions about. I know a lot of you guys have the phone, the watch, and I think there's a lot of utility from what I've heard from people that talk about it and tell me what they would use it for, especially the ones that buy the service plan and then they can totally like go without their phone and just use the Dick Tracy watch and be like, but how often do you have to replace your watch? And I guess maybe, we replace our phone. I mean, Apple's trying to get everybody to replace their phones every year, so maybe that's the path, but I'm thinking about myself with my mechanical watches, and I still have ones that I bought like in the early 90s, and I'm still able to use them today. And I was actually picking up my Tag Heuer F1. I bought that in 1992 for $150. And I had it had been through a whole lifetime of use. And I sent it in to get repaired and get like refurbished. So they put all new mechanicals. Basically, it's a new watch. The only thing that's old is the bezel and the bracelet and the housing. Everything else is new, right? Because they gave me all the internals. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I was like, I went to go pick it up. I went over to Smythe, right? And I was like, I said to the, as I was checking in, I said to the girl, "Oh, you guys renovated, right?" And she's like, "Yeah. Back in like 2000, back in 2023." And I was like, because I was thinking it wasn't like this when I was there last, when I dropped off the watch. And I picked it up and I was like, I said to the girl, I said, when did I drop this off? Because actually I was there and I went by there because I was like, I think I have a watch here. I don't really remember, but I think I might have a watch here. And she was like, "Yeah, you do." And here it is. And I said, "Well, when did I drop this off?" She was like, "December 12th, 2022. And I was like, "What? It's been here 3 years? Thank you very much for holding it. I appreciate that very, very much." And I found the receipt in the box because I had to remove some links because now I'm not so fat. And she told me the price. I was like, "Oh," I was like, it's one of those things where like you're just not expecting it to be that expensive, and you're like, "Oh, well, of course." It was like $250 to fix the watch. I was like, $250. And then I went home and I found the box and I was like, to put the links in. And I was like, "Hey, oh, here's my receipt," because I always keep the receipts in the boxes. 1992, I bought it, $150. I was like, "Wow." And then I looked online. New Tag Heuer F1 for $1,800. Like $1,800. Holy crap! That's craziness. But I noticed while I was looking around that the display for Tag, like Tag and I guess a whole bunch of other watchmakers have the smartwatches, like Tag Heuer smartwatch, that I guess integrates with your phone somehow. Maybe they're using, I don't know if they're using Apple or not, but I was just thinking, if they have these smart watches, like the Apple Watch, at some point, those Apple Watches become obsolete and you buy a new one. Like, am I going to obsolete my, I don't know, $2,500, $3,500 watch and never use it again? I was like, that seems like insanity. I'm like, that seems like insanity to me. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I don't know. I mean, I like the fact that I have this watch from like years ago that I can still use today. Now, it's not big and huge like the new ones. They're all like, you know, manly. These are in the 90s, you hit smaller faces, right? You didn't have like huge faces. Huge faces were kind of weird. Like that was the Breitling range. But even Breitling's huge watch back in 1992 was kind of small. Craig says you need the Apple phone for the Apple Watch, but do these, and I need to look into it because I really wasn't that, but I'm just curious, but do you know these luxury watches, when they have the digital, I don't know, the digital watch, do they integrate with the different phone? I guess they have to integrate with the different phone in some way. I should look into that, I don't know. So is it just one new watch, or they're going to have like multiple watches and one new Pods Pro or multiple Pods Pro? One of my friends was posting the other day. He was like, he moved from like Oregon to Philadelphia. He's in the coffee business. Okay, right? Nice guy I know for many years. And he's posting like, he's like, I moved from Oregon and the mover stole my iPods, my AirPods. He was really upset. So he bought a new pair. And then he was flying off to do a job somewhere. And he was like, as he left, he went to eat something at the food court, started walking to the gate. The watch beep, his phone beeps and says, you've left your iPods. And he was like, what? He got all panicked, went back to the food court, went around videos looking for the Find My Pods or whatever I guess it's called. And he's talking, he says, he's like, I'm following it, and I'm trying to follow it, but I keep losing signal, I keep trying to follow it. It goes away, and then I'm following it, then it comes back, and then it goes to the gate, and then it goes to his gate. And he's looking on the gate trying to catch the guy. He gets on the plane, it's on the plane, he's trying to catch he's looking for the guy that's sitting, and it's like next to him or something, and he's like, oh, looking for the thing, and he's like, I'm going to find this guy, and I'm going to catch him, but like, hey, that's my iPod. Then he realizes he left it in his check-on luggage. So it was following him to the plane, and it's in the belly. I was like, oh, nice, dude, that's funny. Craig says, I'm thinking of the watch because it introduced satellite service. You mean like phone call from anywhere on the face of the planet kind of satellite? That's kind of cool. It's very cool. Wonder how much that costs. I remember back in the old day, if you got the service that had the big phone with the huge antenna, the really thick antenna, like once you open it, it's like $50 a minute. You're like, oh, hello? I need extraction. Totally worth it, man. Totally worth it, man. Yeah, the cigar is just good. It's not great. The nice thing about this thermal is that the coffee's still hot. All right, let's do the last donut, the blueberry cake. Historically, one of my favorites. Like, I love the cake, the texture of the cake, and I love blueberries. So, you know, what's not to like? So let's break this open. Oh, it's a bit crumbly. Now, the blueberries look kind of imitation blueberry. But actually, this seems to be the most crumbly and moist of the three. Still dry, though. More crumbly, just dry. With a pronounced blueberry flavor. That is obviously flavored. But yeah, the budget version, the regular version, the expensive watch. Satellite SOS and text is free for 2 years on the expensive one. Ooh. So you buy the expensive one when you're planning to go someplace that you could get in trouble. Where would I go that I could get in trouble? I'd probably get in trouble here in the United States. Who's going to get me then? So today turned out to be a nice day. Cloudy, sunny. It was kind of like overcast in the morning. But since I mentioned 9/11 earlier, like I remember like on 9/11, like actually 9/11 was an interesting day for me because like I was asleep and I was trying to sleep in a little bit. Man, it must have been like 8 o'clock, whatever, right after the first plane hit, right? I remember my girl Joanne, she calls me. She's like, hello? I'm still in bed. I'm going, ah. She's like, we're going to go to war now. I was like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, who is this? Girl, what are you talking about? What kind of crazy? She's like, what are you doing? I'm sleeping. Get on the phone. I mean, she's like, get on the TV. I was like, oh, come on, man. Then I got on the TV and I was like, ooh. But I remember like I was actually in New York City. So 9/11 in 2001 was on a Tuesday. Beautiful, gorgeous day. And I remember that Sunday, I was in New Jersey with some really close friends of mine. We were attending this ukulele event, right? My friends played music, and so I was hanging out with them. We're up there, you know, just jamming, whatever. And so after that, we were like right in Jersey City or something, right? Really close to the city. So we go into the city. We go to hang out, look around. And we ended up, I took them over to the Brooklyn Bridge. So back then, there was a pizza joint at the base of the Brooklyn Bridge on the Brooklyn side. And on the other side of the bridge, or the base of the bridge from that pizza joint, they did coal-fired pizza, very good. And there's this park now. And actually there's a scene in The Sopranos where Tony Soprano meets with his friend, that's Joe, what's his name? The guy that runs New York's family. They meet in this same park. Today it's a park. It's actually a nice park that's been cultivated, landscaped. But back then it was just an empty lot of gravel and dirt. So we were there. I brought them there because, you know, it's actually a beautiful view of Manhattan. You're just like, wow, it's amazing. and you could see the Twin Towers. And the thing about that weekend and that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, crystal clear. Like it was no clouds those 3 days. Absolutely no clouds. It was beautiful. And we're looking at the towers, and I was like, and I had been to the World Trade Center quite a few times by this point. It's always an awesome thing. And I was like, should we go to you guys want to go to the World Trade Center and go to the observation deck? Because it was open till 11 o'clock back then. I was like, no, we should probably get home because they lived in Virginia. We had to drive all the way back. They had to drop me off in Baltimore. So all right. I was like, oh man. I was like, no big deal. It'll be there next time. Yeah. It'll be there next time. So that morning when my friend Joanne called me, she's all like panicked. I was like, what's going on? And so I get a phone call from my other friends, Ramon. And Ramon's like, he's like, oh man. He's like, I just saw Isaac. And Isaac, our friend who was with me in New York, was DOD police at the Pentagon. And he was the first person to respond to the airplane that crashed in the Pentagon. He was the first person in, and he evidently, like, Ramon was like, I saw him on TV, and he was on CNN, and I was like, what? And I watched a lot of the videos after that, and I never saw it until like maybe 10 years ago when I was in Dallas. And I was in Dallas, and Dallas has the George W. Bush presidential library. And the nice thing about and the interesting about presidential libraries is that a lot of them will have replicas of the White House Oval Office, and dressed in the style that president had it at that era. But at the George Bush Museum, or at the library, they've got a display, an exhibit, a huge exhibit, massive exhibit, about 9/11 with, parts, metal girders from the World Trade Center and all that. And they have videos. And I'm watching one of the videos, and there's Isaac in the video carrying people out. And I was like, oh my God, finally, I've seen it. And I was like, holy moly. I couldn't believe it. I messaged Isaac. I was like, dude, I finally saw your video. He didn't respond. He doesn't talk about that day. Understandably so. But Craig says, I've gotten lost in the woods. Also insurance if I fail and hurt myself. That's a good idea. If you fall, but if you get lost in the woods, like, see, here's my problem. If I got lost in the woods, okay, if I had to watch and it was free for the first 2 years and I'm in the first 2 years, okay, I'm calling. But if I had the old phone and I had to call, but it's going to cost me all that money to get out. I was like when you, on those watches, those survival watches, they say when you pull it, starts at $400. And I was like, for that money, I'm going to find my way out. I'm not giving up. I'm coming out. But yeah, that was an interesting time. An interesting time. Steven says satellite service would be nice in the Philippines. No burner phones or SIM card required. But we need a satellite phone. I don't know what part of the Philippines you're in. I never leave Manila. I hardly ever leave Manila, so I'm just kind of like, everything's good here. I have my phone with the Globe cards, the Globe SIM card in. I'm like, hello? Hello? And Craig says, the last time I got lost, I used a compass. I'll see. I might get in trouble with even though I was a Boy Scout for years, I never really quite understood how to read a compass. I get it, the red points north. I'm going to say good and good plus for the body for the second, third. Yeah, if I got lost, that'd be scary. Yeah, the times that I've come close to, the situations that I've had where maybe I might have been in need of that. Actually, I've never really had that, even though, yeah, usually there's somebody thinking better. Like when I go to Uganda, I have a friend there who's actually Congolese. And every time I'm there, he's always like, you want to go to the DRC? Because evidently they go to the DRC, they cross the border to the DRC to go pick up alcohol because it's cheaper there, right? And since he's Congolese, no big deal. I remember there's more than one time that I'll be there. He's like, I was going to bring it to the Congo, but it's kind of dangerous right now. It's like, oh, yeah, there's kind of like a war going on. It's like, oh, well, I try not to go to active war zones. Stay away from that. Steven says the BGC is where it's at now, and it is, but for me, man, I don't know if you got to explore other parts of Manila, but there's a part of Makati that I like to stay in called Salcedo Village. It's a much smaller, it's older, it's like old school. It's like they built it like in the 70s and 80s, so it's pretty, like the architecture is all kind of old 70s, 80s kind of architecture. The buildings are all that era. So compared to the modern floor plans of like open floor plans and light and airy, they're kind of small and dingy. But I usually like to stay in that neighborhood because, it's very walkable. There's a farmer's market next door and I just kind of go there. It's really, really nice. But like BGC is like too Midtown Manhattan for me. I'm like, I don't need the bustle. I don't need the glitz. I just want like a place to chill. But it is nice. There are good restaurants, good entertainment. Very modern. And it doesn't have the crazy traffic that the rest of the city has. Now we're getting a little bit of uneven burn. So burning more there, less there. So I'm going to touch it up. How is your guys' cigars doing? I'm wondering, like, if you guys are enjoying it or not enjoying it. Let's have some more blueberry. Yeah. Dunkin' doesn't do donuts like they used to. I think, the big thing with Dunkin' Donuts is that, or just Dunkin' now, their whole thing is coffee. Iced coffee is like the biggest thing they sell. I think that's where they make all their money. So everything else kind of like is perfunctory. Yeah, and granted, I bought these around 6:30 in the evening. So they were made sometime between 12 and like 4 in the morning, maybe 10 and 3 in the morning at a commissary and then transported to the location. So they're pretty old by now. They're not as fresh. So George says that my father was exceptional and onto a Padron 3000. Oh, nice. What was the Padron? What was my father you had again? Exceptional, huh? I'm gonna have to try that. Oh, I had to come. I was talking with someone the other day. We were out smoking cigars, and I don't know if you guys know this. Maybe George Brightman might know more about this. Maybe he comes back, we'll ask him. But I'll ask you guys. One of the things that I've talked about in this show is that I like Tatuaje cigars. I've historically always liked Tatuaje. But also historically, I've always struggled to like my father's stuff. All the stuff I know you guys all love, I've always kind of struggled with it. I just didn't find my groove with those cigars, a lot of those cigars. And I was talking with a friend of mine, and he was like, you don't think that, and I said, I like what Pete does, but the rest that the Papine stuff does, I have a hard time with it. And he was like, you don't think that Pete has input on those cigars? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't know, what do you think? Do you think that Pete Johnson has input on the rest of the My Father line? Not officially, maybe not part of the marketing package, but in the development of the cigars, do you think Pepin and Jaime are turning to Pete to help them with the blending? I had never thought about this, and it certainly seems plausible. Ah, My Father Blue. Okay, got it. And Andrew's moving on to my father Lancero. Oh, nice. Speaking of like Lanceros, Brian, I don't know if Dave Knopf is there with you, but if he is, you know, Dave gave me some cigars, these Triunfadors, a while back, and he was like, take these, put them in humidor, don't smoke them for a while, let them rest. Okay. So I smoked a couple recently. Fabulous, fabulous cigar. Like just excellent. Like I'm just like, oh, now it's open. The box is open and it tastes delicious. And now I need to like hide it because God knows I could start to plow into this box. But they're like Corona Gordas. Isn't Triunfador mainly a Lancero brand? And on the band, it says Lancero on the band itself. I don't know if that's because is this cigar, this shape, is this a unique shape for some reason, or is this part of their line? I don't know too much about the Triunfador line, so I was like, oh, because my friend was totally like, I don't think there is anything but a Lancero. I said, obviously there must be because I had this cigar. And it came in a real box. Yeah, the cigar's okay. Tony says the current Triunfadors are only, oh, so there is a Robusto. Okay, so it's a Robusto. Okay, gotcha. I don't know if you guys have had that, but this Triunfador Robusto, man, it's good. It's good. I have to do one on the show. Like it hits good notes. Like, you know, rich flavor, complex, carries you forward, rides the whole way, and still remains interesting. Really, very enjoyable. Thank you. If Dave, you're there, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Tony says the original Triunfador was just a Lancero. Then they had probably like 4 or 5 different Vitolas. I thought I remember at one point they did have more sizes. I just don't recall. I mean, that was like years ago. Like maybe around 2008 they might have had that. Is that right? I don't know. George says that the Robusto is great. I just wish it was a longer smoke. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Churchill would be nice. Churchill. Or Belicoso side. Belicoso. Tony says, speaking of Pete, the new Tatuaya Nicaraguan Carajo series are excellent. They come in T110 and Avion Perfecto and another lecture. Ooh. Guess they'll have that at the at Capitol in a couple weeks. So you've tried those, Tony, the Carajos? And Craig, what are you having tonight? Another one of these well-seasoned Habanas? Oh, speaking of well-seasoned Habana, I actually also had a Monte Cristo No. 2 Habana that was gifted to me in 2010. It was still very nice cigar. Still, my mom actually gave it to me. That was written on the box. They picked it up while they were in Greece that year. Probably from duty free. It was good. It was fine. Wasn't the best example of it, but Craig says, I'm just having beer. Oh, nice. By the way, how's the new house? Is it all like set up now? I mean, it's been a while since we've talked about it. Still have plenty of donuts. Like the Dunkin coffee is just all right too. Like it actually is rather complimentary to the donut. It's not terrible. It's not great. It's just good. I know a lot of people that go to Dunkin's will put a lot of cream and sugar. Because when I asked the girl, I said, "Can I get a medium coffee?" She's like, "You want cream and sugar?" I was like, "No, just black, please. No cream and sugar. That'll be too much." Oh, if you guys are interested, so in the world of woodworking, there's this company that makes measuring tools that are colored, they're anodized red. I don't know if you can see that here. Like, there's one hanging there. This is one of the ones this is one of the ones that I use, right? This is their hex ruler that has 3 different sides. One is a center ruler that has both, and the other one is a regular ruler, and the other one is, I don't know what the other one is because I don't use that other function. But these are, I like, actually, I only use these from their lineup because at the Woodcraft, they sell woodpeckers, but the only woodpeckers that has metric is this tool. It's like, oh, only one tool to buy. So, but anyway, they're having a woodpeckers event this weekend. Tomorrow and Saturday, they're giving demonstrations on some of the different ways to use the woodpeckers. So if you're interested, at the Woodcraft here in Timonium, 11 o'clock is a demo on tomorrow, and 1 o'clock is the demo on Saturday. And 2 different people are doing the demos, and they're doing different operations. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, it might be something to consider to come and check out at some point. Take the band off here. If you ever watch YouTube woodworking videos, a lot of the the famous YouTubers that are woodworkers, they all use their tools. I don't. I just have a couple pieces. Like it's kind of expensive. I'm like, oh. But they're also having 15% off sale. So it's like the cheapest sale they ever have, I guess, all year. So people are like very excited. But I'm like, well, it's only an Imperial. What am I going to do with any of that stuff? Because I found that in my work, I end up using both. Sometimes at the same time, right? Depending on what I'm measuring. Like, do I want to go to a 30-second and figure out how to divide that? No, I don't want to. I don't care about that. I just want to go to millimeters and then divide that, because that's, to me, is much easier on my limited brain capacity. So that's why I do a lot of metric. But a lot of the stuff I'm working with is also it starts in Imperial, ends in Imperial, but maybe verges into metric for a little. I don't know how you guys work, but that's kind of how I've been finding my work to take shape over the last year. So it's kind of strange and interesting in that way. Craig, I imagine that you live in a world where all of your work is done in metric. Is that correct? But you watch these YouTubers that may talk about, bring up the metric or the Imperial thing, and they get all kind of weird. Like they're all like, they get weird. They get all like patriotic or something about it. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? What are you? You know, people are like, well, Americans can't think in metric. It's like, we think in metric every day. Every moment of the day, we're thinking in metric. Because, you know, when somebody tells you what they think, they're not giving you their 5/64th cent of a thought. They're giving you their 2 cents. And people look at me, they're like, huh? Yeah, 2 cents? There's 100 cents in a dollar? It's in 10 decimals, you know? It's like, they don't get it. Oh my God, never mind. Never mind. The comment has gone past you. The wrapper's cracked a little bit right here. It's not having any impact on the draw. Just to note that there's a crack now that's in the wrapper. Cigar's still good. It doesn't really capture the imagination. A little bit of trouble holding the attention. But, you know, I mean, I wonder, like, while Privada has some clever ideas, and again, a lot of it is like this kind of thing, playing on the Dunkins or playing on, what do we have? We had like Big Bird, Sesame Street, and things like that. They're fun because they're fun. I don't know if they're necessarily like compelling, right? I wish this was a cigar that was compelling, right? Like something deeper, something more complex, something more provoking. Maybe something that even paired well with this not so good of a donut. And how difficult, how hard must you work to make a donut to be not so compelling? That's a pretty significant thing. Like, I just wish it was more. Like, I wish there was something, they put more into it. Like, it makes me wonder, like, could this have been like a recipe that the manufacturer, I guess it's Geronimo Cigars, that they made, and they just were like playing around, and it wasn't really anything for them, and they're like, we need to move it, so let's work with Privada and put a band on it and then send it out. That's kind of how I feel. This could have been so much more. Andrew says agree. Base 10 is easier than dealing with 36. Yeah, I can't. I know Tony likes to do the 64ths, dividing, like, I'll take 5/64 and divide it in half. I'm like, I don't understand how to do that. That seems crazy to me. I guess it depends how you learn to think, and I just never learned to think in that way. Oh, and other things about the tool world. I was looking at Facebook Marketplace today, and there's this guy up in Pennsylvania, not too far from here, Lancaster, I think it is. He's selling a Festool Capex 120 miter saw in what looks very good condition. And of all the miter saws on the market, this is the most expensive, but it's also the most precise and accurate, right? It really does blow everything else out of the water. But for me, I've got an old Ryobi here that I've had for many, many years. And I have no real impulse to get another one because basically it's sitting just behind the camera, and basically I have used it 3 times in the last 8 months to make 3 cuts, and I'm like, but if you're interested in a miter saw that is truly spectacular, this one is like $850. The guy's asking $850, which is the cheapest I've seen it on the used market in this condition ever. Like, and I'm watching the used market a lot lately this past year, and I've seen quite a few of these Capexes come through, and they're always like $1,500, $2,000. The new one, if you bought a brand new one, is $1,800 now, $1,900. The ones that are usually more expensive usually have like the stand and the extension arms and all that to go with it. This particular one that's for sale is a generation old, so that could pose an issue at some point, but it's evidently this guy's taking care. I mean, you look at it, it's super well taken care of. There was one that I saw recently that was cheaper at $400 up in New Jersey, but that was in pieces. Like, he had like taken it apart, and like the armature was off, the housing was off, and I was like, and I thought about it. I was like, I said to him, hey man, you open to like an offer? Because it's like, no. It's like, okay, maybe I'd give you $200 for that thing. It's like, I don't even know if the thing works. But the cheapest one I ever saw was a year ago. Some guy in Philadelphia put it up on Marketplace, $350. And this is when I didn't really know as much as I know about Festool now, and I was like asking all these questions, and he was very upfront. He's like, I've been using this for like the last 10 years. It is totally beat up, but it still cuts well. And, you know, some smarter guy was like, went and grabbed it. Because it was actually, you know, that's probably commensurate with the tool at the time. But if you're interested, I thought that was I thought that currently is probably one of the better deals I've seen out there. That's what I do mainly. I watch YouTube woodworking videos and I troll Facebook Marketplace. And then roast coffee. That's pretty much all I do. Nice thing about this fellow Carter thermal mug, coffee's still nice and toasty. Like, it's not hot. It's very easily drinkable, but it's still very warm. And I think one of the big things is that it has this little like jets, this little protector, and this prevents splashing, but I think it also helps to retain heat. So it's not just flowing out of the top. I think that's where it works really well, actually. It's one of the best things I found that Fellow makes. Hey, Steven, I know you're a professional mechanic, and we've talked about the icon stuff before, but what I don't recall is, at your shop, what tool set do you mainly stick with? Are you mostly a Snap-on guy, or a I guess Blue Point is Snap-on, or like Matco, or what's the red one with the wrench? I think my brother was he had some Snap-on, but he had mostly Matco. I think the Matco truck came by his shop more, so he always bought more Matco. My brother's more of a Matco Milwaukee guy. And I've always been more of a DeWalt guy. I never had Snap-on, never could afford it. You know, for me, Craftsman was enough. I was like, enough, it's enough. But right now, if you're interested in tools, like those kind of tools, Harbor Freight's Icon, they have this sale going on. If you buy one Icon tool and use the coupon, it's 15% off. If you buy, or maybe you buy two, you get 15% off. 3, you get 20% off. And if you buy 4 Icon items, you get 25% off. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But then there's a lot of things that, I mean, Icon's very more automotive, so I don't really have a need for that. But I did see this thing they came out with this past month where they have this like mat, this tool mat. They call it a tool mat. And it's, I guess, canvas. And inside the canvas mat are these magnets. So you can put all your tools in, like you stick it on the wall or stick it on your toolbox and stick tools to that. And you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's like 20 bucks. I was like, oh, 20 bucks. Tony, if I were you, I would swing by the Harbor Freight by your house on the way in and be like, "Do you have the mat? Do you have the mat? Do you have the mat?" Of course, Timonium doesn't have it. My friend Matt checked on it the other day. He was like, "They don't have it at Timonium." I was like, "Damn it." Parkville has it. Like, I'm not driving to Parkville. That's crazy. Yeah, it's just okay. Like, I'm waiting for 10 o'clock now. It's like, okay. We don't have to bring it all the way down like we normally do with the really nice cigars. Like last week's cigar, right to the like burning of your fingers. This one, if it was 10 o'clock, I could put it down now. So what you guys got going on this weekend? Anything interesting? Like I said, there's that woodpeckers thing. I'm going to go check it out tomorrow and then see the thing on Saturday. I think I have something else that I have to do, and I just can't remember. You know, that's my problem, is that I don't really... I should be putting things down in my calendar on my phone, but I just don't. Like, I just keep forgetting to do that. Like, I got a notice from Advanced Radiology yesterday and a week ago. They're like, you know, your doctor has ordered a scan that you need to come in for. Like, oh, yeah, I need to do which I should also go by the lab, what's it, lab core. I should go by there to see if I have I think one of my doctors ordered a blood test and I have to go do that. So my niece has been doing YouTube. She's like 15 and she mainly does, you know, those get ready with me videos where like they're getting ready to go to school or getting ready to go out with their friends to the mall. And they're, you know, the whole thing includes like the skincare products and like makeup, and it's like, so she started maybe a year ago. And so recently she surpassed my subscriber count. So I'm at like 2,600 subscribers. She's now at like 28. And I was like, I mean, I always knew that she would surpass me at some point because like she was just growing much faster than this channel had, or the main channel had been, something. But recently, and she's been getting like deals with like different clothing companies. And she told me the other day we were hanging out, and she was like, I got invited to an influencer party. I was like, what? You got invited to a party? Where is it? LA. LA? Are they going to pay for your flight? She's like, no, they're not going to pay for my flight. So I was like, maybe I'll go with you. It's on the 11th of October in LA, and I was like, I looked at the flights on United, and I was like, oh my God, I can't go to that. Flights were like $700. I was like, forget it. That'd be like $1,500 in tickets. I'm like, nope, can't do that. Then I took a moment to look at Southwest, and I was like, don't want to fly Southwest to LA, that'd be horrible. But I was thinking, I have a friend of mine, one of my really good friends is one of the most senior guys on the ramp at Las Vegas airport. So he would always tell me before, so anytime you need a ticket, man, just let me know. I'll see what I can do. I was like, oh. I was thinking, maybe I'll do that. Andrew's heading to Wolf Trap to hear Joe Bonamassa. Ooh, I'm not familiar with Joe Bonamassa, but that sounds like a great time. George and I went to see The Roots at Wolf Trap last summer. Man, that was a good time, man. If you ever get the chance, if you like that kind of music, like, you know, hip hop, R&B, soul kind of stuff, and you like The Roots, if you ever get a chance to see them, man, they're so good in concert. So it was The Roots with like, man, a couple of the bands that I can't remember the names offhand, but it was really a great time. And that venue is super nice. Like Wolf Trap really has great sound. I think that was the last concert I went to. Although I saw that Blackpink is on their, maybe what might be their final tour. They were in Philadelphia and then they were in San Francisco, and I was like, man, that would be a cool concert to go see. So I had pulled up their tour dates, and I'm looking, and they're not going to come back to the United States after this stint, I don't think. But I was like, ooh, in January they're going to be in Tokyo. So I was looking online, I was like, is there show dates for Tokyo? And it's like, oh, it's wildly expensive. It's like $2,000. Forget it. I like to see bands, but man, the prices that cost today, it's like astronomical. I wonder how it was when we were young. Like when we were young, the first concert ticket that I ever bought, that I never got to go to, my mom would not allow me to go. I ended up buying tickets to see AC/DC at the Capitol Center. This was like 1982 or something like that. Really a long time ago. And I remember the ticket price was $28. And I think throughout the 80s, I would go see a lot of shows then. And I think they were all right around that price. Not terribly expensive. I mean, but I wonder, like now I wonder, like back in 1982, was $28 a lot of money? Was that like, was my mom like, what the? $28? Because like in the 70s, like when we were children, like I remember hearing that you could buy groceries for your entire family for $20. Like $20, $100 was a lot of money back then. I mean, cars. My car that I bought in Hawaii, which was a 1971 Carnegie convertible. Evidently, when it was first introduced in 1971, I think the price of that car was like $3,000. And I think my 1986 GTI, when it came out in 1986, was $13,000. Can you imagine buying a car today for $13,000? Like you can't buy anything for $13,000. I don't think you can buy a used car for $13,000. Like the bandsaw that I rebuilt. Right? Rebuilt this bandsaw early this summer. When it was brand new in 1934, if you had it fully kitted out, it would cost you $75. And I was like, $75? What was that? What is that? How much is that? And I did one of those Google conversions. You know, what is $75 in 1934 worth today? And it was $1,500. And I was like, wow. And you know, if you went out and bought a bandsaw today from like Woodcraft, you get a very nice modern bandsaw for $1,500. So I was like, wow, that's. So I guess it's still commensurate, I guess. But it's kind of hard to imagine, like today, you go to McDonald's, man, easy $12, $13 for like a Big Mac and fries. You're like, good Lord, man, that's craziness. The other day I was really, really hungry, so I was like, man, I need to get something to eat. But I don't want to spend any money. I'm so cheap, I don't want to spend any money, right? So I'm like, let me go to Arby's, see what Arby's has. So I drove over to Arby's. And Arby's, if you're looking for a cheap meal to tide you over, Arby's sells sliders, little tiny sliders with the roast beef in it, $2 with tax, $2.09. I was like, yeah, it was good enough. I was like, all right, that's good. Steven says, we recently lost our Matco guy, sadly, so now we are Snap-on. Oh, it is always about the service, isn't it? Did your Matco guy just retire, or did they take away his truck? What happened to the guy? Andrew says, architecture school at Maryland, architecture was $900 for me. Now $30,000. Wow, $30,000. My first year in college, I went to the MICA. I went to the Maryland Institute College of Art. And back then, MICA, you know, was a fledgling wannabe art school. Like, it was good art school. Like, they had good teachers and talent there. It was good. But it was, you know, when I talked to my friends who went to Parsons and RISD and even to Pratt in Brooklyn, when Pratt was like, you know, MICA was just an okay school. Like, I think MICA today is much more well regarded. And I heard that MICA today costs $70,000. I was like, $70,000. I remember when I would pay for my semester tuition at college in Hawaii. The semester, I think, cost like $3,000. And I remember thinking that was like crazy money. But to think you're spending $30,000 to $70,000 a year today, like, holy God, like I can't, if I had children, I'd be like horrified. Even our alma mater for high school, Loyola Blakefield, which again was at our time was a rinky-dink like high school. I mean, it was the best Catholic private school in Baltimore at the time. Still today, probably. Certainly wouldn't want to go to Calvert Hall. That would be like going to public school. But I hear today that Loyola's like over $24,000. I was like, $24,000 for high school. Man, it's expensive. Life is expensive in America. Like it's when I was in Japan, right? I would go to this place. There's this place called Sushi Zanmai, which is kind of a chain of sushi restaurants in Japan. But very, you know, the one thing about Japanese, they're very into food. They're very into quality of everything. So the quality of the food is very high. But I would go there when I was in Tokyo because it was very, very reasonable. And I did the calculation on the conversion. And I would have this tray. You'd order this tray of sushi, nigiri sushi, so the ones that are like on the ball of rice. And there was like 11 pieces or 12, 13 pieces of sushi. And you got like soup with it, the miso soup. US money, $11. And I remember eating that and I was thinking, I could not buy this for less than $40 back home. And this was like 2 years ago. I was like, you could buy a Big Mac meal at McDonald's in 2003 for $5. And I was like, $5. And I mean the full Big Mac meal, the Big Mac, fries, and a Coke, $5, $5. And I couldn't, it was like, maybe 8 or 10 back then. And I couldn't understand, like, why do we pay more in the land where we created the Big Mac. Why are we paying more? We should be paying less. Yeah, this cigar. Here's 7 for the flavor, 7.5 for the body. Now, burn and draw has been very good overall, so I'm going to say 8.5 burn and draw. Consistency has been very good. I'm going to say 8, 16.5. Overall, I'm going to say 7.5. So that gives us a total score for today of 76. So certainly not the greatest cigar we've had on this show ever. Maybe down towards the lower end of the pack for the year. I still have to, and basically the cigar's gone out. Now that I stopped puffing on it, it's gone out. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? All right. I guess that's gonna wrap it up for today. We're back again next week for another episode of the Thursday Night Hang here on the Coffee and Cigars live stream. Good to see all of you. Thank you very much for tuning in. Always pleasure to hang out with you, and always an honor that you take the time to spend with me on a Thursday night. And then remember, on the 25th of September, we're going to be down at Capital Cigar because it's going to be George's 70th birthday. So he's invited everyone that can make it to come down and participate. And maybe we'll set up the camera to run the stream there. So hope you guys all have a wonderful evening. And be back again soon. So hope you have a wonderful one. And see you next time. I have to go over here and turn off the stream. Did that turn out? Didn't turn off. Oh, someday. No. All right, everyone. Have a great one.